Hey everyone, it's Laura here from Laura's Creative Pages and Cards, and we are now up to day 27. The 27th card in this series of 31 cards over 31 days, and we're making this beautiful wishing you a happy birthday. So we are going to need this piece of present paper, which is 7/8 by 4. This one here is 1/2 inch by 4. We're going to need the candle print paper cut at 1 1/4 by 4, and then this piece here is 5/8 by 4. We're going to need a nectarine piece, which is cut at 3 1/4 by 4, a ballerina piece, which is cut at 5/8 by 4, and we're also going to need a raspberry piece, 1/4 inch by 4. For our stamping, we need white daisy, which is 4 by 1 3/4, and then this piece here is 2 3/4 by 1. Okay, so let's get started in putting this together. So the first thing that we should do is go and lay out all of the pieces of card strips that we've cut. This is a perfect card for using up all your scrap paper that coordinate together beautifully. So what I want to do is just lay it all out on the card to make sure I've cut all the correct pieces and that I've got them in the order I need. Then I'm going to start by attaching the bottom piece first, and I'm going to give it a gap that is the same on either side and the bottom, so that I know that I'm fitting it into the center of that card nicely. Next, I'm actually going to attach the top piece, and the same thing, when I attach this, I make sure it's central to the left and right of the card, and then I have the same amount of gap at the top that is found on the left and right hand side of that piece of paper. Now I'm going to take my time to lay out the rest and give them the proper kind of spacing so that I can visually see the spacing I require as I go on and stick each piece down. Okay, so the beauty of this is these strips here are 4 inches wide, so it means if you got scrap pieces of paper and cardstock at 12 inches in length, you're going to get 3 pieces out of it. So I'd say find a few different colors and nominate each color to a particular width, and then go ahead and cut 3 of it and make 3 of the same card at the time with your scraps. And you could definitely go ahead and put different sentiments on the front. Anyway, so I have digressed, and I'm just going to stick down the last of these 2 pieces. And as you can see, as I've gone along, I've tried to keep roughly the same spacing between each of these strips. Don't get too disheartened if it's out by a millimeter. Close enough is good enough. Obviously, just don't stick them directly next to each other, otherwise that's not going to work. Alright, so this last little thin strip is going on, and this is it for the sticking of a paper, flat with our adhesive. And next what we're going to do is the stamping. So let's start off by stamping in raspberry, and we're going to stamp this happy here in the raspberry. So we're using this solid image stamp here, and we're going to stamp this on the white daisy in raspberry. If you don't have raspberry ink, then my suggestion is that you go and find raspberry cardstock and just stamp the black on it. Okay, but this time we're stamping the raspberry on here, but of course you could use any other color that's going to coordinate beautifully with this. Next, we're going to use the lagoon because I'd like a contrast of colors rather than sticking to one, and we're going to use this outline image here. My suggestion is that you definitely pop this down onto your table and pick it up with a block, because it's a really bendy stamp and it's easier to pick it up with the block rather than trying to place it onto the block. It helps keep the shape better. Okay, so we've got 2 of those borders, and then we're going to fill them with the words. So we need the wishing you a, which is just here, and we're going to place this one into the center of that one. It would help if I placed it the correct way, and I'm just going to pick that up with my block, and I'm going to fit it in. And when I stamp it, I'm stamping to the very right hand side of that framework, because we're actually going to trim off the left side, so we want it really nice and tight fitting to the right side. And then the birthday, we're going to straighten that out, and we're going to fit that into the second box, and the same thing, we're going to stamp that to the very right hand side of the little framework. Perfect. Okay, so that is all of our stamping done for this card here. So it's a very, very simple card, but I just love that it uses up scraps, and it's also still super, super fun, especially if you've got scrap printed paper, because all of these prints worked really well together and look really lovely. Okay, so we just need to fussy cut out all of the stamped images, so all 3 of them, and just trimming them around and leaving a little border. And again, if you don't have the coloured inks, use the coloured cardstocks and stamp with black. It will still be fabulous. Okay, so we just need to attach these 3 elements to the card, and then the card is finished. So I'm just laying them where they're meant to be attached so that I know that I've got all of the pieces and that they look good and they're correct. And all of these are going to be stuck on with the 3D foam tape. So I'm just getting one piece and cutting it in half, and I'm just making sure I adhere it roughly where that wording is starting, because I'm going to be trimming off the excess once we've finished attaching them all. So I'm just getting all 3 pieces placed on the card first before I trim off the excess. And again, you don't need too much adhesive, it's plenty sticky enough, and the card is lightweight enough, it's not having anything that's going to be pushing down on it. Okay, so we've got the wishing you a happy birthday, and I love the contrast of these colours, and I love that all the stripe paper just really makes it a fun card. Okay, so those 3 pieces are on, flipping the card over and just trimming off the excess that's overhanging the card. So super easy, nothing too technical on this card. And there we go, that is the 27th card created in this series, and I hope you have been enjoying it immensely as much as I have. See ya!